appreciate all the support that you've ever given us, and go Cog Prime.
And I want to make sure you get your trophy here as well, man. MVP, Susano, and his heavy, man. Make sure you hold on to it for me. MVP, raise it up for him, man.
It's just so incredible. I'm so happy, and I've always wanted to tell my parents that I finally won this tournament. So Mom, Dad, I finally won Worlds.
Feels like I'm in a dream. I haven't woken up yet. Hopefully this dream never stops.
Splice are going to be your season 5 world champions. This is their moment. Untouched, unscathed, bow down to your kings, the Camelot Kings, champions of the world.
Our road to Masters continues here on this fine Friday afternoon as the SMITE Pro League returns for Week 3 of Season 10. As always, got some great SMITE matches for you here this weekend. And expectations really starting to build up for these teams. Trends starting to get set. Standings starting to shake out. And this weekend is really going to make a mark as we only have a few weekends left of Phase Number 1 of the SMITE Pro League. So every match, all important. Good one to start us off, but we're not going to talk about that yet. Instead, I want to talk about the birthday boy from yesterday, Mifflin, who's with me here on the desk. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thanks.
Hopefully you're hanging in there today. Did a lot of crazy stuff yesterday, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, my life is not dissimilar to a movie. So, you know, I got a little wild. You ever seen Project X?
I have.
Yeah, that was actually an autobiography from the future of my 25th birthday.
You live in an apartment, though, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. They don't let me in that apartment complex.
Noise complaints
Constantly.
constantly. That's right. Yesterday, no exception. A great matchup to start off our Friday and our weekend as well. It's the Hounds versus the Leviathans. And really, it's two teams, I think, more closely matched than we may have assumed at this point if we were at the beginning of the year and saying, Week 3, these two teams are going to match up. I'm thinking the Leviathans are going to be the favored team. They still might be. However, the Hounds, they got that win under their belt last weekend, and this is a team that has started to build up a bit of an identity. They've had their moments. They've taken their individual games. And Mifflin, now they've finally won a set. Is it the beginning of something good here for this Hounds team?
I mean, you gotta hope, right? Especially if you're a fan, but one game makes not for a trend. I need to see it continually developed. I need to see them honing in on their strategies, continually developing and improvising and playing into their strengths. I think that we're right to start the clips with VaporishCoast, though. This is one of the definitive strengths of the Hounds. His ability to solo out his lane opponent, look for these hyper-aggressive plays, create opportunities out of the duo lane, incredibly high. I'd love to see the Hounds continually play through him, make a concentrated effort to facilitate that duo lane. Otherwise, hard to say what the consistent win condition is going to be. Oathhh out of the jungle has been very active in the kill department, but transitioning those kills into a lead has been hard to come by. The Eldritch Hounds have shown that they're a threat, that they can certainly find some wins here in the SPL, but I need to see a little bit more before I'm buying stock.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think that there are avenues for this team. I think that Oathhh put together a really nice set last weekend against the Gladiators. Remember, in Game 2 against the Glads, Oathhh goes 12-4 on the Susano, and so maybe Oathhh forming that identity a bit. And Oathhh has played a lot of Circuit. I'm seeing this now. 4 out of the last 6 games have been Circuit for Oathhh.
He wants to be Lazarus so bad.
So bad. Well, who wouldn't? Lazarus playing like maybe the best jungler in the world right now, what we've seen with that Ravens team. They'll play the Oni Warriors later on today. But playing through Oathhh, certainly a viable opportunity. And I also think we saw VaporishCoast feel a bit more comfortable in that Glad set as well. It's not been an easy time for this duo lane. 7-1-5 in Game 1, and then a 2-1-14 for the Hounds in their ADC in Game number 2. So building up an identity, building up consistency, got to be the name of the game for this Hounds team. But don't take my word for it. Let's see what BennyQ has to say.
I feel like we didn't play to our full potential against the Kings, but I think we did pretty well against the Glads.
And Eldritch Hounds for the 2-0 win over the Gilded Gladiators.
With the current meta, I feel like most of my characters are really strong, so I've been a fan so far. I feel like my role in this meta is pretty important. I feel like sieging and ending a game is really hard, especially with the current meta mages. Being able to hold and play sieges correctly is very important. I feel like the Leviathans so far have been looking worse than expected, but that's because their mid laner hasn't been here, I would assume. In our matchup against the Leviathans, I think if we play our game, I'm pretty confident. They've been looking not so good, and I feel like if we play to our potential, we have a very good chance.
Look, I don't think, BennyQ, a man, a few words, right? But I don't think the few words that he told us were incorrect. I think there's potential for this Hounds team. I do think the Leviathans have been struggling. I do think some of that is because Sheento has not been here. Sheento has not looked like Sheento that we know and expect. And I think when Sheento's able to get here and be in studio, it's a massive boost for this Leviathans team. And so, Myth, I think BennyQ's kind of on it. I think BennyQ, specifically in the mid lane today, might be the most important role if you're looking at some of the weaknesses that the Leviathans have faced and some of the areas where the Hounds can maybe make their money.
And so much weight is on the mid lane right now. I mean, Benny touches on it lightly there, but the meta is almost completely contingent on the mid lane in regards to maintaining your base and breaking the enemy base. Those mages, all important. You need that AoE damage. You need that burst potential to remove someone from the map. Mages bring that, and they bring it with safety. Assassins, they could do it in the early to mid game, right, when fights are happening in the jungle or in lanes, but once it gets under a Phoenix, once it gets into a Titan room, that's where the mid laners really need to step up.
And Sheento will still be remote here this weekend. Unfortunately, that means you won't be able to watch his POV stream, but gentle reminder that all the players who are in studio will have their POVs live on their Twitch channel. So if you have individual players that you want to watch and they're here in studio, you can just watch them play from their perspective all weekend long. The opponents, we've mentioned it once or twice here, Myth, the Atlantis Leviathans. It's a team I think that came into this season with expectations that are a bit heightened from what they've been able to reach so far. Remember, just finding that first win last weekend for this Leviathans team felt like a weight off. I think you could see some of the tweets after that set, adapting, fineokay, I think just finally adding a win into the win column. Seeing one go in is sometimes just the most important thing. I think you might still lightly favor the Leviathans in this matchup if Sheento's here. I'm saying that with a lot more confidence. But this is a sneaky, difficult matchup I don't think the Leviathans can overlook.
No, I don't think so at all. I would not be surprised if this set goes 3, but the Leviathans still have that veteranship that they can lean on. It's a 3-man core that you're used to seeing Sheento, Zapman, and Ronngyu together, now with adapting and fineokay out of the jungle and solo, respectively. I imagine we see them stick to their guns. It hasn't been the Leviathans looking to absolutely dominate the early game. It hasn't been the Leviathans jamming pressure into towers. This is still classic Leviathans, just not classic Leviathan success rate. Play for the late game, group up as 5, take these dances around objectives, try and elongate battles as much as possible. Very standard Leviathan stuff, things that you would expect to continue working for them, but I think BennyQ and you, Dave, hit on it very properly. Sheento just has not been having the performances that we've become accustomed to seeing from him. Of course, take it with a grain of salt. He's playing on pretty significant ping right now from out of country, but you need to see a step up there if the Leviathans want to continue playing this way, because they have not adjusted on map. They haven't been taking Sheento's farm. They've been allowing Sheento to free farm the entire map, his waves, his jungle as well. So if that's the case, if you're going to continue to play through him, could be the Leviathans see this first phase as let's practice, let's keep doing what we've been doing, what we know how we want to play once we're all here at full strength, and then we'll just get this perfect practice for next phase, or an inability to adapt.
Yep. Well, look, Sheento's KDA inflated a bit last weekend. They played against the Gladiators, who went 5-0-12, so look, Sheento's still a very talented player, but when you're talking about those micro decision-making moments, much more difficult when you're not here in studio. 5-0-12 in Game 2 against the Glads, 3-3-12 in Game 1. But prior to that, against the Kings, goes a combined 2-7-11 in the 2 games of that set. Against the Oni Warriors, goes 4-5-12, and so not bad, but one of those games, 0 kills, the other one with all 4. So it just hasn't been Sheento from what we've seen outside of an individual game or two. And potentially no fault of his own. So this Leviathans team, I think, still a bright future to look forward to. a lot of avenues, I think, to analyze this set, Myth, and as we start to move towards picks and bans, really discuss how things might be important there. We've talked a lot about the mid lane. I want to talk a bit about the duo lane here. Ronngyu and Zapman, it does feel like last weekend against the Gladiators, we're able to find a bit more of the comfort that we've come to know and expect with this Leviathans duo lane, especially with those two being here in studio. So Ronnie, Zap up against Quig and Coast, I think could be an interesting one. You got some of this veteran aggressive talent against the new coming talent with Coast and Quig and two players that love being aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, both sides have got aggressive duo lanes. Zapman in particular, probably the most aggressive player on his team, not impervious to getting caught out a bit. The Leviathans in the past have loved laughing about Zapman. You know, he gets caught, but then his shot calling gets better because he's got the bird's eye view. Yep. So I think as for the 2v2 in lane, I don't imagine we see too much happening. Ronngyu a little bit more subdued than Quig is. But once the supports start to rotate out, sparks could fly in that lane.
Find out how prioritization falls into the duo lane and picks and bans for game number 1 of the Atlantis Leviathans versus the Eldritch Hounds. Now, standings-wise, this set very important, Myth, because if you're looking at both of these two teams have only notched 1 win. Both of these two teams are 1-3. And so as the phase kind of continues to unfold, it is a far stretch, I think, to see either of these two teams finishing first in their divisions. However, improving your seeding and improving your standings got to be what both of these squads are eyeing right now. A couple games out of second place for both of these two teams is really what's important, with only a game or two separating over on either side. So not must win. Again, first seed for either of these two squads would be difficult to reach. Not unattainable, but it would require a pretty big turnaround from either side.
So
phase. With that said, we'll look back at some of the bans that we've got here. Serket up against Oathhh makes some sense, as we've talked about Oathhh playing Serket in 4 of the last 6 games. Then some frontline and some rundown in the other 2 bans from the Leviathans between the Pavana and the Hercules. If Horus has a 100% pick ban rate, which is still wild to me. I think banned so much that kind of flies under the radar because you just rarely ever see him picked. But 100% pick ban rate left open, though, for the Eldritch Hounds, and we might see why it's been 100% pick ban rate.
I mean, the more I see Horus, the more I just fall in love with this pick. The defense shred, the linear initiation, the high mobility, high CC lockdown, the mobility he affords his teammates to the skies. I mean, Horus is good at just about every facet of the game. So often the conversation with supports is, are you a team fight support? Are you an initiator support? Are you a pick-based support that's really good at catching people in the jungle? Are you sustain-based? Horus is all that. He's literally every single bit of it. So no surprise to me that the Eldritch Hounds prioritizing him this highly in the draft. The question being is, what's available for the other side to take immediately afterward? And it's pretty strong for them as well. Cern and Merlin. Merlin, almost a direct shot at Benny. It's one of his solid God Pool picks. He's been playing it for 2 years now consistently. The Cern has been near the top of those ADC/Hunter priority lists as well. Just good damage output, relatively aggressive in lane. But maybe most importantly is that high CC output, that wild hunt in the late game team fight. So good at forcing off those relics, getting rid of those utilities, or even burning through some of these ultimates. And it's not as if Cern has some poor matchups. It's not as if you lock in Cern, you're worried about X, Y, or Z being locked in on the other side. For the most part, I think maybe his worst matchup's like a 5-5, an even state.
That's right. Look, Merlin Cern has been the carry combination that teams have dreamed of. And, of course, when you're picking a Horus first, that's what you're leaving open. Again, you know, Merlin plus Sheento is one of the most feared player god combos in the world. Can Sheento meet that expectation? Is that a happy oof or a sad oof?
You know Huang's win rate, like globally in the SPL?
Well, 0, right? He's only been played once.
That's this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, forever of all time?
Forever. It's like, Gore, keep me honest. He just walked in. I believe it was around 34%. Somewhere in there.
He'll pull out a spreadsheet and he'll confirm.
He's going for it, but it is very low. Huang is unwinning.
What was the god? Was it 30%
30% flat
win rate?
Do
you know how many games of all time he's played?
We're working Gore hard. He's got to get ready for his cast. Leave him alone.
Didn't Ho-Yi have like a 0% win rate across 20 games a few years ago? Is Huang the Ho-Yi
Of mid?
of mid?
It might be.
Could be that way. Why do you think that might be? Is it just struggling a lot of matchups?
Yeah, I mean, it does not struggle in matchups. As far as the laning phase is concerned, Huang has never struggled.
Yeah.
He's got good clear. He's incredibly safe. CC immunity twice in the kit, essentially, with Celestial Flight. So with Beads Aegis, he is the safest mid laner in the game. Where Huang struggles, I think, is kill secure and the ultimate. He is completely contingent on hitting a massive dueling dragons. If he does not pull somebody in, if he's not hitting 2 targets, if he's not getting the dragons to kiss in the middle, there's literally nothing that's happening from Huang in a late game team fight. Whereas when you compare him to a Merlin, hit any one of your ice stance abilities or your arcane stance abilities, and you've already matched the Huang damage output. So I think that is a bit where Huang struggles. It's just that late game securing kills or doing enough damage that you're able to TKO somebody, or even defending yourself. You can survive for a very long time, but as for self-peel, keeping guardians or warriors off of you, Huang's not very good at that.
30% win rate across 63 games played.
That's awful.
There's a lot of data.
Yeah.
There's a lot of data. And it actually balances out. I mean, for any stat nerds out there, Order win rate is 27%. Chaos win rate is 33, and so it averages right in the middle at the 30.
Oh, no,
30%.
the Hounds are on Order side.
They're on the 27% side of things and not the 33% side of things, unfortunately. So yeah, not the greatest history for Huang to be fighting up against here. I was wondering if we would see it, Myth. Are we gonna bring out the vintage yet again for? Well, it's not vintage.
We gotta wait for the performance.
We just saw it last week, so it's no longer vintage. It's last week.
This is refurbished.
Right, refurbished performance. And we actually did. I think it was a Meta Monday. Is what Fino did with the King Arthur. He said, it's not out of meta, not quite in meta, but still a pick that Fino thinks with the right build and the right composition he can make work, and clearly last weekend it worked.
Yeah, really good at sticking to the back line, so against targets like Hell or Huang, King Arthur can really play disruptor to their game. Not really susceptible in the early game to the CC output that the Hounds have got. You're not overly concerned about Susano's pull. It's not as if this Hell's going to have any hard CC either, so it's really just that direct Horus matchup, and it is looking like Horus solo lane for the Eldritch Hounds here. Feels like King Arthur, for the most part, does exactly what he used to, just not nearly as well. With Glad Shield eating some changes here in year 10, it's not the same item it once was. The stats don't align with them nearly as well. I think the only thing that really has hurt King Arthur is the itemization. It is the build. Doesn't have those immense bruiser items that he was able to exploit in Season 9. Now, a little bit less damage, but overall tankier than what we're used to.
How about Bakasura versus Susano? That should be a fun one. Look, Hell plus Horus Myth, I think Sustain should be a conversation point in this one. I would assume solo lane Horus and then Hell over in support. Is that overwhelming Sustain in your mind, or do you think the Leviathans have what it takes to deal with it?
Well, the Leviathans have got a bit of healing on their side as well. So the Terra, you can reduce a little bit of what the Eldritch Hounds are going to pull away with in some of these longer team fights around Fire or Gold Fury. But as far as anti-sustain is concerned, I would imagine we see a Divine Ruin from the Merlin. An Ankh pickup would probably go a pretty long ways here for the Leviathans as well. Whereas the Eldritch Hounds, I don't think they're going to be looking too heavily to invest into anti-heal. They can go for Brawler's Beat Stick or something along those lines. If they want a Divine Ruin, I wouldn't argue against it. Maybe a Contagion. But you don't necessarily need to pick up an Ankh on the Hounds. Whereas the Leviathans, I think, certainly need to have that relic on mind.
If I want to zoom out for a moment, must win as far as standings, that's not really the conversation I want to have. As far as mental for the Leviathans, do you think this type of set is a must-win for them, or do you think that Sheento not being here plays enough of a role where they're thinking the best is still yet to come once their teammate gets here? Or you think you stumble a bit against who is perceived as one of the bottom couple of teams in the league, and the Hounds might start to trickle some doubt into the Leviathans camp?
And this is armchair psychology. It's conjecture.
Yep, of course.
I've got,
this is no actual data from the Leviathans
No actual
themselves.
data. The Leviathans strike me as a very prideful team.
Yeah.
They want people to think they're great. They've always had that chip on their shoulder. When they came in as Sanguine, A lot of the fans at home were saying, well, does this team even belong in the league? And they were able to put up that
Last year
shut
we were
up.
told they do not belong. This year we were told they would fall out early.
Yeah, so
then we said it 3 times for the 3 time.
Exactly. So with all that stacking up, and with the general air around the Eldritch Hounds right now, the general reception of this team, a lot of people are projecting them to be bottom 2.
Yeah.
This might not be, as far as standings are concerned, a must-win for the Atlantis Leviathans, but I think if we were to ask any one of them, they would likely consider it that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that this Leviathans team, and they're so talented, and I think expectations a bit higher. But this is also a great opportunity for the Eldritch Hounds, who probably don't feel like this is a must-win set. However, you get a taste of victory. Last week you're able to finally grab yourself a 2-0 win and see some of the stars starting to align. I think that's where the Eldritch Hounds can start to build up this house, build up a foundation. We'll find out which of the 2 teams are able to build the momentum in Game 1. Hounds versus Leviathans with Gormizer and Trelly.
And I'm excited for this one, Trelly. I think there's a lot to be said about what these 2 teams have and admittedly what they're going to be offering for us today. Leviathans, carrying on kind of what the desk maybe sees it as. And my mind is need a couple wins, not necessarily because of standings or anything like that, really just for me mentally. Feels like we haven't seen the Leviathans that we're hoping for yet.
Not yet. They still have some, let's call it growing pains. Just trying to work out exactly how they want to play the game, and I think just their overall team fight style of play, it does need some work, but this is a matchup that I think could be massive for both of these teams. I'm not going to call it must win. I think it is a situation where the Leviathans should feel confident. The Eldritch Hounds should also feel confident. I like the drafts on both sides. I think that, to touch on a little bit of what the desk was talking about, I think Huang brings a lot more than his stats may suggest. It's just, he is a very high skill cap god. You do have to make use of that ultimate. But let's be honest, these are the best players in the world. If you're missing ults on any god, you're probably having an off game, right? It's very rare that you're just whiffing ultimates as a pro mid laner, you know what I mean?
And I feel like if you gave me enough time, I could probably find where those wins have been. And if it was any individual player, right?
I remember a lot of Pagon playing Huang.
Yeah.
That was last season, of
if
course.
I was going to put my money on where I was going to find the wins, that was where I was going to go first.
Yeah.
Definitely 63 games, 30% win rate means about 20 games, 21 games, I guess is actually the right number that he was able to win. So definitely not like unwinning and incapable, but like we've seen in the past, maybe struggles a little bit. It's all about, I think what you said though, you hit the nail on the head. The ults, right? Yep. If you're missing some of those, even 1 or 2 in crucial moments, you don't really get to do much else outside of that. But we have seen, and I'm glad you mentioned Pagon, because those defenses around Phoenixes where you're just like, you know what? You're in here now. All of a sudden, like I'm changing the course of this fight. I'm deciding for you what's going to go on. Those really opened up those opportunities. So I think right now, level 3, not too much from Benny. Level 5. And onward is maybe where we're going to keep our eyes, specifically on the mid laner here. I also have to give maybe a little bit of a glance towards Oathhh, who wants to go for a fight against Adapting. Get some good poke out there. Does not commit, at least not fully. Then now, a little bit of time to work with. Adapting still has a lot of mana. That's going to be a blink forward. Oathhh wants a little more. What a good route. And that's going to slow this down. Might even turn things around. The damage is there. Adapting. First blood with a jump forward. Now Coast is in trouble. All they need is a little bit to slow him down. Not able to catch him before the tier 1 tower line, but they turn that gank on its head.
Yeah, unfortunately for Oathhh, just no mana there with the build. Cannot go in for the pull. Didn't have the follow-up damage. I think that Susano does have the ability to get aggressive onto a Baka early. But you got to make sure you have either A, follow-up, or B, the mana to back up that play. And unfortunately, he just did not have any of his abilities, so couldn't do much. And now, not only do you give up First Blood, that's one thing. Giving up First Blood to Adapting on Bakasura is scary, but getting First Blooded, the Susano actually being the one who's dying, really unfortunate there. You're trying to stack up Transcendent. It's going to be a while before Oathhh can really get aggressive and get some damage off. And I already think it's not a great matchup, right? If you look at the relics, Oathhh has Blink. Into the adapting Bakasura, you've got the Cripple Goo that is going to guarantee you can't use 2 of your damaging abilities on Susano. And also, they're your escapes. So I'm thinking I'd be looking towards speed buff invades. Like, I'm trying to bully out this Susano as much as possible because you know he is never returning that damage until that Transcendence is online and stacked up.
Definitely an easy opportunity for adapting. I don't know if aggression, at least in this day and age, has been a word that I associate with him. But like you said, it's Bakasura. And given the circumstances, I kind of want to see it too. I want to see him get in the face, at least force some fights. Maybe cause some trouble. I also want to throw out the fact that the dual lane does get assists on that, right? Both level 5 for Ronngyu and Zap, over the 4s for Quig and Coast. And the only reason I really bring it up is to talk to you about this Hell support. And it's one of those picks that we see struggle a little bit already. Falling behind, is that enough to like, at this point it's only a level. But is that enough to get you worried? Like, are you a little stressed out for Quig right now?
Definitely, and it's the reason is because of who got the kill. Again, Quig is on Hell. I talked about Oathhh and how he gets crippled and really can't use any of his abilities, but Quig is immobile, right? You've got Bracer, you've got your heal, which gives you some movement speed, but Baka is always going to be faster than you as long as adapting is building into the movement speed tree, which Golden Blade and your speed buff are going to add to. So, yeah, I think Quig could be the initial target in some of these team fights if he tries to be the forefront of aggression, if he tries to, you know, stay there to cleanse his team. The Hell could easily be a target here for the Baka as the game continues. Because he's not the one who died and he already has the Prophetic Cloak online, should be just fine for now. It's just, you know, Hell is a mage. You gotta remember, she doesn't have those base Guardian stats like a Terra would. Certainly could be some easy pickings if he's unpositioned or wastes that cleanse too early on in the team fight.
Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of out-of-position play. BennyQ right now getting slowed by Ronngyu. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by how much those Terra autos were doing.
They're chunky.
But he still manages to walk back to the tier 1 there. You know, we were talking about it, bonus balance, stuff like that, changes that we expect to be seeing. Maybe right now it's going to be Ducky who we expect to be seeing. Oh no, unfortunate for him. The second kill on the board for the Leviathans. 2 up now for adapting. And this time it's on the solo Horus on the right side of the map. And it might not be the Susano you wanted to see some aggression onto, but it's aggression nonetheless. And I have not seen Oathhh step up past the tier 1 line for a while.
And he can. I don't think... I think Oathh's playing correctly now that he's down. Unfortunately, that one misplay means because he went Transcendent, his aggression is thwarted. He cannot go in any longer. fineokay finds a beautiful ultimate there to set up for adapting. It's hard to miss the Cripple Goo when you've locked someone in place. And a beautiful attempt at a solo kill. Sheento gets out barely. BennyQ did not have the range to finish that one. That's the strength of those dueling dragons, though. You land one ultimate. All he needed to do is hit the Cultivate Dower Phoenix Flames, but just could not find the kill underneath that tower. And Sheento holds on to the beat, so we'll be just fine. Like I said, off to a good start. You'd think Ducky would just be able to use that ultimate to get out, but beautiful CC chain there from fineokay and adapting.
Something I think that needs to be a little stressful. Benny, last week, a lot of conversation about him going into that Glad set, specifically because him, Snoopy, not really having a lot of great performances, we'll say, over the first 2 weeks. Really got to, I think, turn it up during that set. And based on what we just saw, I'm inclined to say that we might be getting that level of BennyQ today. Definitely something that it kind of comes and goes, right? The consistency maybe still needs to be worked on, but the ceiling is very high. All it takes is a good Huang. And you know, we talk about Pagons, which, by the way, I have it, 9 of the Huang 21 wins were on Pagon. You got to wonder if it runs in the family, right? Can BennyQ pick it up just because his brother is that good at it? How much time? How much intel are they sharing? Maybe some conversations like that. All about the dueling dragons. Blink used by Oathhh defensively to disengage for exactly the reason you were highlighting earlier. He wants to get away from adapting. Adapting still prowling in the jungle on the right-hand side, but it doesn't look like he's going to be going for too much. Dancing across a lot of blue wards. So his presence is well known. That doesn't seem to be stopping him anytime soon. Going for the Bastion under the tower. Right now, the only lane that feels like it hasn't been losing too much, surprisingly enough as it is the duo lane, where Coast has just been doing exactly as his name would imply, coasting. Still a little behind, but not stressing too much.
Yep, so far, you watch both members of the duo lane get assists early on. You're probably not looking to get too aggressive in the meantime. But remember, I was going to say, Oathhh did blink away defensively, so he's got no way to retreat if there would be some aggression towards him. He's just going to go for the green buff, invade, and back up. Adapting has been looking for Oathhh, and that's what I've been wanting to see, right? That aggression is still possible. I don't think that Oathhh can return much damage, but hasn't been able to find him yet. The positioning of this Susano has been clean for now, but he's always lurking. You know, and anytime you see Oathhh in the jungle, there's going to be this little monster close by that wants to try and find that blink, wants to try and find that ultimate, and try and push this lead higher. Maybe onto BennyQ is the call, but doesn't want to try and pull the beads. If you're curious about that interaction at home, even if the cripple goo gets under you and you see Immune and Celestial Flight, you still have to beads to go up into the sky, and Ducky knows Adapting's coming and he's going to ult away.
Plays it carefully, gets out of there. And it is aggression right now from the Leviathans. Again, something that, at least what we've seen, hasn't been fully instilled in me for Phase 1 Leviathans this year. Although I will give credit where credit's due. Adapting, highest KDA on the team across the first 2 weeks, has been the lead aggressor for them. And we've talked about the dynamic between these two, specifically between Adapting and Sheento, and how it's going to be different than Panatom and Sheento. And that maybe manifests the most in what we've seen, or at least what I've seen in KDA, right? Where Adapting suddenly is at the top, getting a lot of kills, being the reason the team's like surging forward. They used to play through mid. Maybe that's just because of Sheento's non-local nature right now, or maybe it's the strategy the team's going to be going for. Definitely, I think, questions to be asked throughout the year as we watch them. But this is a good start for him right now, Trelly. 1,200 gold, give or take, depending on the waves. No big plays as of yet, right? 2 individual picks, one in left, one in right. And so it's not out of the Hounds' wheelhouse. What they need to get active, and they need to get active soon. Still 10 stacks left on that Transcendence. And 2 levels for Oathhh before it maybe can feel safe around Adapting.
Yeah, and I'm curious how the duo lane matchup is going to go, because remember, Crit took some heavy nerfs.
Yeah.
Because of that, Bloodforge also got nerfed. You're looking at Zapman and Coast starts. The Dev Gauntlets, it just wins out in that trade more often than not now. It's got the lifesteal benefit, it's got more power, it comes with flat pen. All of those things make it very strong. 4th place like this, where you can go for an early Gold Fury. Coast is here, though. He's got snipes if he wants to go for the steal, but Gold Fury's getting low.
Zap. Takes about half his health. Coast as well. Relatively low. Burn from Sheento's there. Up into the sky, though. Snipes. Opting for the players instead. Zap's low. Coast doesn't have any follow-up. Does exactly what was necessary. Doesn't steal a Gold Fury. Stops it from happening. Keeps his team in the running.
Yeah, not quite enough damage there. And that's what I wanted to get at. You know, Coast has full Dev Gloves and Executioner. Zapman had full Dev Gloves and Tier 1 Crit. Now has Demon Blade. Maybe if they make that play again, much more burn onto the Gold Fury. But at the moment, when they went for it, did not quite have the damage to try and secure. fineokay did make the rotation over to see if he could help out, but too low of health bars. And VaporishCoast does exactly what he needs to there. He doesn't focus on damaging down anyone specific. He looks at the ADC. He looks at Zapman and says, hey, I'm going to auto you a few times. I'm going to go up into the sky and make sure your health bars are low. You're not going to 50-50 a Gold Fury with no confirm while there's a Rama in the sky, and especially now with health bars that low. So make sure that Gold Fury doesn't go down and saves his team from, I suppose, giving up a big lead there. And so far, considering the kills in favor of the Leviathans, I think the Hounds have done a great job of just farming the map. You know, BennyQ has been able to hold a level lead throughout the entirety of this game so far on the Huang, and Coast has caught up. And I think can still be pretty scary in a boxing match, barring some lucky crits here from Zapman.
Yeah, it's the crits, and like you said, the conversation, the bonus balance. I was curious where we were going to start seeing things, right? You had talked to the mid laners yesterday about whether or not that was going to adjust their build, and we'll hold that thought as Pyromancer goes down. Does get confirmed by the Leviathans. Very narrowly confirmed by the Leviathans, though, as Oathhh threw out his ult, trying to steal that one away. A little bit of gold. And Trelly, that lead It was about 1,200. Gets a little further now, 1,400. Not too much, not too crazy. Beads used by Ducky on right. And Adapting and fineokay going to use this time to take the tier 1, get aggressive, kind of drive things home. But looking at mid lane, I was curious what was going to change. You had talked to him yesterday and gotten a general consensus. Yeah, the items got to shift, right? Some of like their best items that they have been seeing for weeks taken away. And we see a little bit of that shift. They're going to use the Runic Bomb here. Tier 2 on right. I was wondering if they were going to go for more, maybe a kill there. Adapting and fineokay really leading the way. Now they finally back off. And I can mention what I've been looking at. It's Sheento going for the Chronos Pendant, first and foremost. Something that if you played Smite for a long time, it's not unheard of, right? We've seen it in metas past, but been a little while since that item's really been at the forefront.
Yeah, I think Conduit Gem Chronos Pendant's a decent start on some of these spam mages, but we don't got a chance to talk about that because Gold Fury is being pulled here by the Eldritch Hounds. They aren't going to go for the confirmation, though. They were just going for a bit of a damage check, maybe a bit of a vision check. And the Leviathans responded slowly but surely. They didn't really think it was too much of concern, considering that there's no great burst on the map currently. And Huang has some, but I don't think BennyQ wants to waste too much of his damage on that Fury if he can use it for fighting after the fact. All the while, though, Adapting is just power farming on the right side of the map. And again, Oathhh is only level 12. This really is starting to add up. This Susano, I mean, where are you going in at? You're getting out-traded by Sheento. You're getting out-traded by Zap. You definitely lose a fight to Adapting or fineokay. I assume you win the 1v1 versus Ronngyu in the jungle, but it would take a while, and with that, Ronngyu can just run away. So Oathhh doesn't have great targets at the moment. He really needs to stay with who's strong on his team. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he has any opportunities to try and find any ganks. He's just trying to find as much farm as he can. But his build looks like it's going to take a while before it comes online.
Yeah, we just saw, Spiked Gauntlet, presumably a Bloodforge. That's going to be in the far future at this rate. Bloodforge is not a cheap item. So Oathhh struggling a little bit there. Does get those beads, though, and that's going to feel like a small win. Oh, man, though. We watched him tick over to 13 while you were talking. And just as I start, Adapting ticks over to 16. So it is not quite a full 3 levels, but it is about as close as you can get. Let's call it 2.8. And Adapting plus the Leviathan's going to try to push that a little further. Gold Fury started up. Walls thrown out. Leviathan's narrow again. Oh, but they secure that one. Have me shaking a little bit with how close call they keep making these. Oathhh throws out the ult one more time, but just like the Pyromancer, it's a little too late. It's the Terra walls that confirm it. And now Trelly, I mean, if you're looking at jungles, you got to have your eyes on Adapting. He's going over towards left. He's going to blink forward easily onto Coast. And this is looking like a very standard gank. They might not have needed that ult from Zap. Zap takes a lot of damage, though. And that kicks off a fight in mid. Dueling Dragons not going to get the push that it needs. Oathhh taken up into the air. Takes a lot of damage. Cleanse is good. Healing helps. And a blink used defensively to get Oathhh out of there. All 4 still alive in mid, but Adapting just over the wall. Sitting in the green buff. Looking for an opportunity to jump in. Minions are there to start tanking things up. Adapting still has ult. Leviathans are going to take a deep breath, though. Decide it's not worth their time to go for the kills. And instead take the tower. Line up for a Pyromancer.
I didn't even believe you when you said Adapting still had ult. I'm like, what are you talking about? He just ganked Coast. No, he didn't need his ultimate there to confirm that kill. It's just a disgusting lead here that the Bakasura has. Still had,
so far ahead.
Yep, still had beads if he needed to go into the back line. And unfortunately, fineokay goes in for an ultimate. Just out of range, could not confirm that stun there for the Baka to try and go in. And in this case, Oathhh actually blinked the blink of King Arthur to make sure that he wasn't in any danger from the follow-up. But it's been all Leviathans towards these objectives. And, you know, as you've highlighted, the Typhoons have come through. Oathhh has just not had any steal potential here because it doesn't have enough damage built in. He's level 15. Got Hydras, which does not help your ultimate damage towards objectives. Really just gives you a small bit of power. Might be another ganked opportunity towards Coast, but there is some vision down. This Rama's not going to step up too far. He's got ultimate, too, to stall out for his team as Oathhh was nearby. But, I mean, Runic Bomb in tow. Ronngyu is ready to look towards these objectives. Double crit from Zapman and Adapting. I mean, Fire Giant could be done at any moment here, Gore, and it could be done very quickly. The Eldritch Hounds are smart to get their vision down on the left side of the map, but I'm thinking some wards might be needed on Fire Giant and soon for the Eldritch Hounds.
Yeah, that minute and 30 for the Oni Fury that's about to spawn in, I don't think the Leviathans are thinking that heavily ahead. Maybe they're aiming for it, but like you said, Fire Giant could be a very easy damage check. They might be going for it soon. Drops down a sentry, sees. Not a ward to be seen in the pit. Maybe giving Ronngyu some confidence. Quig is still here though. At this point, kept pace, right? But let's just call it a walking sentry ward for essence. Sees the placements from the Leviathans, knows the vision's there. I just don't know how you fight back into it. I guess the real thing is around Oathh's ult, right? We've seen it go for a Pyromancer. We've seen it go for a Fury and fall short a little or both times. Now, question is, do you feel confident that you can do that with a Fire Giant? That seems a little more risky. Instead, they're going to go for a little more. Ronngyu. Some setup. Root. Only going to keep people locked in for so long. Beads are about to come back up. 2 seconds there on Oathh. 10 seconds on Ducky. But here's the damage check for the burn. Oathh is in mid right now. This is a 5v4. They might have the advantage. They are lacking Adapting's damage. He's going to come around. It's been spotted. Oathh finally making it through. Snipe's going to be there, but not in time. Leviathans, they get themselves the fire, and now they chase down the Hounds, forcing Benny up into the air. Not able to find the kill. Ronngyu takes a lot of pokes, so does fineokay, but they're getting the damage out there, and all they need is their carries to step forward, get the burn to turn on these health bars. Oathh is still in the back. Could be a huge moment for him. Goes in, surrounded by 5, gets a nice, huge pull, but unable to get the damage necessary to find more than just 1. Trades himself out for Sheento, but helps get his team out alive.
Yeah, if Oathh is even during that state, that's probably a triple kill. The Blood Force Shield proxy does so much damage, but in this case just does not have the build to make a play like that and get out scot-free. Adapting, able to trade back. That was a lot of low health bars. fineokay didn't feel quite tanky enough to just take on all members of the Eldritch Hounds by himself. Gets a great ultimate there on the Ducky, but luckily was able to dash out just fine. Relic Graveyard on both sides, though. Both teams are not looking too solid for a team fight anytime soon. But Fire Giant still goes down. You lose it on Sheento for the Leviathans, but you still feel confident to siege forward in the mid lane. That Pyromancer's coming up. 3 tier 2 towers to look at, and no runic bombs in tow. I'm thinking that fight should have went a little bit better for the Leviathans, but it's always the case of, hey, you get Fire Giant for a relative free. Do you really need to chase? You can back up, spend some gold, you're ready for a siege. Maybe just bit off a little bit more than they can chew. You still have Fire Giant on 4, though, so you feel confident walking up. You can get some upgraded starter items. Ronngyu finally ticks over to level 15. Could go for that option, or just upgrading his possible Heart Ward Amulet, or whatever magical defense he wants to grab in that slot. Could even be a Pestilence at this point, because anti-heal. I guess at this point, fineokay's got Contagion, so you are missing some value there, but the defense would help him out a ton. Point being, Leviathans are playing this slow so far with the lead they have, and Sheento is going to be down at purple buff while it looks like just the tanks are here. Yeah, Ronngyu and fineokay, the only ones at tier 2 tower.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking they're going to be able to grab this one.
Zap's on right at tier 2. I don't think he's getting anything done anytime soon. Luckily, Adapting is pushing forward. Looking for the tier 2 in mid. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a response from the Hounds in time. Trading that out for the tier 1. That was aggressed on over and right. Zap tries to stop some backs, not able to do so. And Charlie, wouldn't you know it, you nailed it again. The tanks, plus Sheento after he got there eventually. Not enough to take the tier 2 on left. So it seems like this might be a very tame Fire Giant as far as things go. Only 1 kill in favor of the Leviathans that happened, and that's the one on to Oathh right after. And I want to say it was just the 1 tower. Maybe they got a tier 1 in there as well, but not a lot of gold that shifts over into their experience or their favor. Still, 6,000, 6,000. That's going to be a lot to play into if you're the Hounds here. It's been a slow but suffocating game for the Order team. And a lot of it comes from literally 1 death on the jungle 20 minutes ago at this point.
And I think that the general consensus is when you get a Fire Giant this early on, you're not looking for Phoenix, so I think that's why the Leviathans split the way they did. You definitely could have sent Zapman over to left, but you're trading out a tier 2 for a tier 2. And the Leviathans realize that the siege on the side of the Eldritch Hounds isn't that great. If they do somehow get a Fire Giant, they don't have any easy way to grab these Phoenixes. They don't have an ultimate that's just going to clear out the back of the Phoenix and have a good siege. So I think that was the call. Zap said, hey, we're not getting Phoenixes anyways. I don't want to give the Eldritch Hounds an avenue back into this game to just grab free towers. So I am going to go back and defend. Adapting's going to grab the 1 tier 2 tower of this Fire Giant. And hey, the tanks and Sheento, go look at left. See what you can do. And not too much damage comes through there. Fire Giant is back. And this one could be different. It's not enhanced quite yet. But the Eldritch Hounds have an avenue to try and fight up. They can try and group up and actually defend this. Because last time it was a bit of a soft defense.
Yeah.
A steal attempt into let's run away. I would like to think it's more of an aggressive play because Oathhh is level 20. Has actual damage online. Remember, he made a massive wraparound last time. And if he had the damage to back up that play, maybe it goes a bit different.
Also worth noting, I think the Deathbringers now finished. The Rada Tahuti now finished since the last Fire Giant. But more importantly, Adapting wasn't even on the FG last time around. He was pushing on right, so didn't have his damage to help. Still don't have his damage. He's hanging, lurking on the right side of the pit, watching for someone to step up from the Hounds. Same thing for fineokay, going for a loop. Snipes. Good onto Zap. Zap's incredibly low, and he's taking the FG right now. Gonna take a lot of damage, does not go down. Quig gets picked up by fineokay, and it's gonna be an easy pickup, but Oathhh has the loop around. Oathhh finally getting something done. It's a double kill for the jungler of the Hounds, and he might just find more. Adapting on the run, trying to escape. It looks like his pathing's gonna get him just far enough. No, the ult from Ducky. He's bringing in help. He's got the assistance, and it's a triple for Oathhh. Finds 3 in the fight, and it's just like you said. Finally gets the damage necessary.
Yep, if you make a wraparound play like that, or in this case, let a Susano in the backline with actual itemization, your carries are not going to be looking good. I got to give shouts out to Coast, though. Goes up into the snipes, puts Zapman at critical HP before that Fire Giant even begins. And with the Fire Giant HP, the ring ended up getting him so low that Oathhh is able to make that play. And it looks a lot cleaner for it. Pyromancer goes down, and now the Eldritch Hounds are going to head back to base. They don't feel like going for a Fire Giant here, which I think is a good call, but Coast gets left behind. Ducky luckily stuck around. fineokay, I don't think you could take all this damage.
Ghost is half health. Ronngyu might not be able to catch that either. Too much coming from the Rom. And Cool under pressure. Look, it's 0-1 and 3. The slash line maybe doesn't seem so impressive, but Ghost, top damage in the game. And it has been very effective damage at that. Those snipes, like you said, enough to isolate things out. Now the Hounds in the driver's seat pick up the Fire Giant. They get it down to a 3rd HP. Zapman's here. They need a response from the Leviathan soon, but they're not going to get it. The Hounds pick up the FG, no problem. And it looks like they might even get the disengage they want. Good dueling dragons. Comes from BennyQ. Snipes from the Rom, but they need the disengage. Oh, the damage from Adapting, almost enough to pick up Ducky, almost enough to get Coast. The Horus ult gets them out just in time. They get to go back to base, reset. Now the Fire Giant's on the other belt.
And this on the other belt. Still not the end of the world, though. Not quite enhanced.
Doesn't have the same ring to it as the shoes on the other foot, huh?
No. I guess, what would be the alternative? Is there any way to make it flow better? Fire Giant's on the other foot. That's the best I could go for. And in this case...
That's where my brain wanted to do. I should have just stuck with my gut.
Well, whatever.
Where the belt would be.
Wherever the Fire Giant is, I don't think it's the end of the world because Leviathans have a great siege, or a great defense opportunity. Oathhh, it's hard to find a flank underneath Phoenix. You're essentially revealed anytime you try and go for a wraparound play, and that has been the success of the team fight of the Eldritch Hounds so far. And all 4 kills that the Hounds have are on this Susano. So I'm thinking tier 2 towers might just get traded out here. The Leviathans are on the left side of the map, Hounds on the right. So just say, hey, we're going to grab as much farm as we can. You're not going into Phoenix just yet. And I think unless someone overstays their welcome, we're looking at enhanced Fire Giant territory where that's when the Phoenixes start to be broken open.
Speaking of Phoenix, Adapting's going for one. He's going to get it uncontested, has a full minion wave with him. Backs away, gets the teleport from Ducky. So maybe he forgoes the Phoenix, but he forces 2 to fall back from the Hounds. I mean, you were talking about their defense. We didn't even have to see a heat check from the Leviathans there. It's a good play from adapting. Either you go Phoenix for Phoenix or maybe even Phoenix for none. Or you have to back off if you're the Hounds. Burns time on the FG power play. A minute left. The Hounds are going to step up to the tier 2 in mid. Should be pretty easy. But a defense from the Leviathans actually sticking around here. Tower's getting low. Dueling Dragons off the mark. Relics all up except for Oathh's beads, and that might be enough to get aggressive from the Leviathan. Snipes. Good from Coast, but not able to find a lot. Ducky again! By the skin of his teeth, able to get out of the aggression of the Leviathans. Stays alive, but barely so.
Yeah, it never really looked like a full-on commit. I don't know. The other towns wanted to go for like a soft tier 2. There was some chase down potential. fineokay. Still at the forefront of this Oni Fury. Wants to get aggressive if possible. Remember, Oathhh lost his beads early on. He was trying to scrap up against Zapman, get caught with the cripple into the ultimate. Had to expend those beads just to survive, as well as the cleanse from Quig. fineokay is the only one here who can go for a steal. He doesn't have much damage, but he has a solid attempt at trying to grab this Oni Fury until the rest of the team shows up. And it looks like the Elder Towns will be able to pick it up. I'm surprised at Ducky's build. You've seen him get out with 1 HP twice now. He's in a double crit. I mean, it just seems like Spectral would go a long way here. Adapting, of course, does have true damage with the Butcher Blades, but Zapman, he's got some crit as well. The Demon Blade and the Envenom Deathbringer. No Spectral Armor's purchase from anyone on the side of the Eldritch Hounds. I guess in this case, Adapting's more often than not looking at the carries, but when you see those crits connect, it does do a lot of damage. Look at this play of the Leviathans. They're stepping up, and it looks like they're blinking in.
Oh yeah, they want a little more. fineokay. Not able to find the lockdown, but does it matter? Adapting's damage is insane, but he eats just as much in return. Up to the sky. Snipes, where are they going? On to Sheento. Gets him down to half health. Adapting, same place. Health bars looking pretty good for most of the Hounds, and they're going to find the lockdown. It was an engage from the Leviathans, but a turnaround by the Hounds. They get rid of fineokay. With the Fire Giant up, now enhanced even. The go button is there. The Hounds don't care about kills. They want the buff.
Yeah, if BennyQ dies, that's a massive play there for the Leviathans, but now Enhanced Fire Giant is here. It's getting low. And the Leviathans have to go in for a defense, but Adapting doesn't have ultimate. Bakasura is even a character without his ult. Doesn't seem like he wants to go in.
Adapting's low in terms of pressure at this point. Fire Giant getting low. Speaking of low, Ronngyu, health bar, knocked out. Sheento, half health.
Ult's almost up.
Seems like they're not going to be able to get too much. Haven't prolonged the game enough for Adapting to fight here in the pit. And instead, Hounds get themselves the EFG, now get to move forward. Trelly, there's only one tier 2 left standing for the Leviathans. It's on left. Instead, 4-stack on right. Minion wave here. Phoenix, once again, is the call. This time they don't have Adapting making a saving play in mid. Instead, maybe looking for the saving play. Standing in the speed buff. Trying to avoid being caught out in terms of vision. Now knows there's a ward there. Has to play very carefully around this wall.
Ducky.
Blink up, ult there. Ducky's low. And this might be the opening. Watch Adapting again over the wall. Looking for his spot. Ducky's up in the sky. Oh, and that might be the disengage necessary. They get the Phoenix. They get out. The Hounds get what they want.
They do. Grab that right side bird. Full on retreat. Fire Giant still up for another 2 minutes. That was a clean engage. I mean, you know, you lose fineokay. Adapting doesn't even decide to go in because he realizes probably not enough damage to find a meaningful pick. And that's a clean, easy siege on the right side of the map. And now the other towns get to group up and go on the left side. Adapting is going to run into them. Maybe not if they shield buff. Maybe the call is grab this buff and run. It looks like that is what he's going for. Since then, I mean, backline damage has been lacking here from the Leviathans. There is tons of farm, of course. Adapting's full build, but Sheento has not been able to make too many impactful plays. Relatively low on the damage charts. I think BennyQ has been providing a ton of the poke on the side of the Hounds, as well as the snipes in from VaporishCoast, which makes Oathh's job so much easier. You know, if your carries can damage out the other carries, then Oathhh just gets the clean picks in the backline. Hasn't got any since that 4-kill swing we saw. But still, those Typhoons have been connecting, and I think he's been a menace to the backline of the Leviathans. But now that one Phoenix is down, you don't have to do a 5-man split over on left. You can spread the members of the Leviathans thin and just see if BennyQ can find some poke in the meantime. Sheento already has to go back to base.
Playing carefully. On left, like you said, Sheento heals up. Stun onto Ducky. They've been trying to burn through this Horus. And earlier, it seemed easy. Now, half health with healing. Ducky's going to get a simple reset. Oathhh in mid. Adapting. Has to deal with the fire minions. There's going to be a whole other wave coming in from right. They're not going to have anyone to deal with it. Left side Phoenix taking a lot of damage. But it stays standing. Leviathans mounting a soft defense as best they can. All it takes is a couple hits from Coast. He's going to find one stray auto, takes it down a little lower. Good autos immediately onto Ronngyu. And fineokay goes forward with Adapting's help. They finally get rid of Ducky. They put Coast into an awkward spot. Snipes. Not able to connect, just out of range from fineokay. Does land on Adapting, forces them to fall back. Sheento gets low, and that's going to be a big kill from Oathhh. Opens up the Phoenix, gets his team in there, and they finally take that one down. Fire minions on right, helping apply the pressure and Adapting. The Leviathans, without their mid laner, have a lot to work for to make sure their base stays safe.
Yep, EFG unfortunately fell out. If not, the other towns get an absolute free third Phoenix in mid there because that buff is gone. Didn't feel enough damage, didn't feel confident enough to go for a play like that, and they decided to back up and just grab themselves the Primal Fury in the meantime. And remember, this all happens from a siege brought on by the Leviathans. They went for a play, tried to fight at the between speed buff and red buff on the Eldritch Hounds side of the map. They pull some relics off BennyQ, but they were not able to find that kill. Since then, EFG goes down, and the Eldritch Hounds break this game wide open. The Leviathan's Titan is at a little above half HP. Left side Phoenix is down. Right side will be spawning up here shortly, but it's going to be difficult to even try and defend an Enhanced Fire Giant with these stakes. Someone is going to have to be over in far left. Someone's going to have to be in far right. And that means you're going to be a man down at best. No real easy steal opportunities either. It's not like there's snipes on the side of the Leviathans. There's no range. If someone wants to go in for a steal, they're going to have to get up close and personal into the FG pit. And that's not going to be easily. That's easier said than done at this point.
A lot of work for him. fineokay can't afford to get cut out here. Avoids the knockup. Ducky falls back. Hounds are on the Pyromancer. That one's going to be a very easy pickup. Right side, Fire Minions meeting just behind the Tier 1 of the Leviathans portion of the map. Left side, Fire Minions walking into the base. Leviathans, they're going to send Zapman back to deal with them. He only clears out the one wave, a second wave walking in there. He has to walk back, no! Oh, he didn't see it on the map the way we did, Trelly, and that's going to cause the Leviathans in a 4v5 a little longer. Damage is good from the Hounds, but they don't even need a lot of it at this point. They just need presence. And that's what they have. Adapting's in mid. Zapman's rejoined his team. But like you said, the delicate dance between defense and aggression of the Fire Giant. Difficult. Adapting. No tries for BennyQ, but Abids and Aegis. They immune out the ultimate, the damage from the Bakasura. They scoff at it. fineokay send back to base, dealing with the Fire Minions. Still a 4v5. Ronngyu half health. Pops the ult. Wants to get aggressive. Snipes immediately onto Zap. Takes him down to 2/3 health. Good luck fighting into this one. You're going to need a hero play, and I don't think it's around this FG.
Nope. And again, Adapting. Goes for the ultimate. Pulls both relics off BennyQ. That's it. That's all he can do. There is no more that a Bakasura provides without Blink, without that ultimate available. And now the Leviathans are going back to base. They have to try and defend a weakened Titan and a weakened right side Phoenix, whereas the Eldritch Hounds have Ducky's ultimate. They're going for the end call. Are they going for the end or are they going for Phoenix? Ducky's thinking about it. He's going in the middle.
Gonna shoot right onto the Titan, looking for the damage. They've got plenty, and they're gonna find this one. Adapting pulls one kill back. Makes me question whether or not they have it. But it was never in question for the Hounds. A little bit of a rough early game, Trelly, but it does not matter. Resilience holds true, and they win game 1.
It really did seem like letting Oathhh get towards late game. Remember, 5 levels down at one point, I believe, 20 to 15.
Yeah, it was abysmal.
He had like 3 items online, letting him just split push away, get to level 20, that massive power spike where he was able to wrap around, get a double kill towards Fire Giant, and then the Leviathans double down and say, hey, we let you get this power spike, but we're still going to take the fight towards you. And that fight between Red Buff and Speed just does not go their way. Crucial timing. Right as EFG spawns in, big swings there for the Eldritch Hounds.
Goes to show, like you said, win rate might not be everything. You Huang tacks on a win on the order side even. And that play, man, I thought for sure that first play we saw when Oathhh goes for the loop around and it just gets a 1-for-1, I thought that was curtains. Luckily for the Hounds, it was not. For Hounds fans, I'm sure you're real happy with that one, but that's just game one. Still got at least one more to go. We'll see what the Leviathans can do to answer back right after this.
It's the Eldritch Hounds after game number 1 that must have tried some of the new Godslayer Advanced GG energy formula because they're the ones grabbing the. We are not letting Myth do any more Advanced GG ad reads. And I'm going to do a little taste test live on air right now. I already had coffee today. 0 sugar, my goodness. I love that. All right, so the new Godslayer flavor is the first official SMITE and Advanced GG flavor crossover. I'm doing 1 Scoopy Boy.
That is the recommended serving size, yeah.
Is that true, production? SMITE 30 for 30% off. This weekend only, if you use code SMITE30, you get 30% off your purchase with Advanced GG. That's a great opportunity. So SMITE 30 is what you want to use. I'm going to put 1 Scoopy Boy in there, and I'm going to put it in my eShell Ice Shaker, which is also available online. Listen to that shake, Myth. Do you think I could be one of the...
Oh.
Toss it behind my back,
You
maybe?
wouldn't. You can't.
And look, you don't have to shake it much more with these ice shakers. All right, let's try out Godslayer.
I don't know if his mic's picking it up. He is moaning.
Oh, that's really good. This tastes like coconut, and maybe some orange or something is in there. Definite coconut undertones. And I'm feeling jazzed. I could go get a double kill right now, maybe a triple, maybe a quad, maybe a penta after trying out Godslayer from Advanced GG. And here's the good news. I use code SMITE30 for 30% off my purchase. That actually is really delicious. Thumbs up to Advanced GG and their team and our team for working together on that flavor combination. SMITE30 for 30% off on the new Godslayer and everything in Advanced GG, but the new Godslayer SMITE crossover flavor. Something to look forward to. Great energy mix in that, and 0 sugar. That's important to me. And maybe important to Myth, who we have kept off-screen this entire time. Myth, we can move on from the... Nope, put it back. Put it back. That's for off-camera. Myth, game number 1, though, the Eldritch Hounds were on their energy game, and they were able to beat the Leviathans despite a great start from Adapting.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 15 or so minutes of the game, it was the Leviathans who had completely established their own pace, just controlling fights around objectives, fights in the lane. Things were going well, a cumulative 3,000 or so gold lead. And then what you had called out, that sustain-heavy composition from the Hounds starts to stack up in the late game, in these objective fights that go a bit longer, and these team fights that seem to go the distance. All that healing, namely from the Horus, I think, really does start to slow down the Leviathans. Fights go long, in a war of attrition, the team with more sustain generally tends to win out. And it seems that was the case. A couple of flubbed team fights and one pick here or there, and eventually it's the Eldritch Hounds who are completely in the driver's seat.
I feel like I can move some serious weight right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want a barbell with 8 iron plates just resting right above my body and just moving it around. You know what I mean?
That's me every day.
That's what Godslayer really brings to the table. And I am jazzed. I am on top of the world.
You said it twice.
Well, I meant it twice. Okay, so now it's about mental bounce back from the Leviathans, because that's a game where you're in control. And it's almost like the opposite of what we expect Leviathans games to be like, where they're in, maybe the early game's a bit messy, but they're so in control come
You are wired.
I'm loving life right now. They're so in control. I'm going to get up and start pacing around, I think. They're so in control come team fight time. But it's the exact opposite nowadays. And I think this is a good opportunity to talk, Myth, about picks and bans for game number 2.
Great.
Between the Leviathans.
We got a tracking shot?
And the Eldritch Hounds.
This was not rehearsed.
Mike must be on his Advanced GG because he is just on another world right now. Let me tell you about the benefits of picks and bans, Myth. Look, this is not a bit. I'm just feeling the energy. I'm
going to get a scoop of this.
Where am I going right now? I almost did 2 scoops, so everyone at home should be thankful that I didn't. Hounds now in the driver's seat. The Horus first pick, 100% pick ban rate.
Mm-hmm.
Should the ban rate, in your mind, go up a bit after game 1 of this set? Should the Leviathans consider taking it away?
Oh, man. If you're not in the first pick position, I don't feel like Horus is unbeatable. Certainly difficult to beat, though. His win rate, absolutely ridiculous. Would I ban it out? Yeah, I think I can. I think the Leviathans certainly could. If they're going to value Vamana as highly as he is right now, I feel like Horus is probably equivalent power ranking. So having not come up with a perfect answer myself, me personally, I'm banning it out if I'm the Atlantis Leviathans, but they've got brighter minds on their side, and maybe they've devised some sort of counter.
Myth, this advanced GG God Slayer flavor has me wanting to do a standing backflip right now. And I've never done one in my entire life, but I bet I could do it right now. In this
All right,
moment.
yeah.
I'm not going to. I
bet I could, though.
I have bad hips, but it is convincing me that I could do it. And I use code SMITE30 for 30% off
this weekend only.
my order. This weekend only, that's right. Outside of this weekend, you can use code SMITE for 10% off. But this weekend,
30% off.
With code SMITE30. So the Horus left open once again by the Atlantis Leviathans. It worked out well. And not only good for engagement, but there were disengage moments from Ducky in Game 1 that felt almost just as impactful. Moments where you get the FG and then you've got to escape, otherwise you're losing a couple team members. The mobility played a role offensively and defensively for the Eldritch Hounds. That said, when you talk about the game of chess that is picks and bans, I'm sure the Leviathans in their discussions know that it's going to be a Horus first pick or have a pretty educated guess that that's what it's going to be. How can they then change up their draft strategy around it? They don't. It's an Ishtar instead of a Cern, but they stick with the Merlin. So the Leviathans were unconcerned with how the carries of that previous team comp performed.
A change that is inflicted upon the Leviathans and not chosen. Cern banned out by the Hounds, 3rd overall. Leaves Ishtar available, so Zapman will be piloting that this time around.
You have such a way with words, man.
Differences, not exactly massive between the Ishtar and Cern. You still have a pretty large AoE CC ability that's going to be able to force out relics. I think the primary difference is that Ishtar gets a little bit more done through crit. Could really start to burn through these objectives very early on, especially in conjunction with this Merlin. Whereas on the other side, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hounds go back to the hell, so they've got the same sustained composition with Rom now. You've got the late game scaling again. Could just be a straight up run back here.
If you're the Hounds,
functionally,
you're taking that right. If you're the Hounds, you're taking that every day of the week. Remember, Coast tweeted before this set the meeting of Coast V adapting, because remember they were on the Highland Ravens at the time, the SEC team last year, and so Coast going up against his former teammate, and he made a statement against his former teammate in game number 1. Terra for the Leviathans. And now it's the second wave of picks and bans where you're going to have to look at maybe some of these larger, more full-scale changes, because as of right now, to your point, Myth, things functionally the same. But those are always, it's sort of an awkward type of game because the Leviathans probably sit and think, well, we had every opportunity to win that game. We just didn't play our team fights properly, but our composition wasn't necessarily the issue. We'll see if that's what their mindset continues to be. There's a Fenrir taken away, and then Odin follows as well. Odin plus Terra, and then Merlin and Ishtar would have been a good team fight opportunity for the Leviathans, but still a lot out there, Myth, as far as initiation goes in the jungle and the solo lane for the Leviathan side.
Yeah, I wonder, but with this ban, do the Leviathans take away the Susano? Is that a primary concern? I think the Susano did kind of clean up a lot of the weaknesses of the Hounds draft, just not having a full dedication to initiation style support. That pull from Susano can really start to lift some of that weight, as well as the Typhoon at disrupting the backline. So the Leviathans will take that one away themselves. Ronngyu from the Eldritch Hounds. With both teams needing a jungler, I'd be surprised if the Hounds don't take theirs here. So many already banned out. What's left available? Excuse me, it was the Leviathans, the first pick out. Sun Wukong. This was not my expectation.
I would have thought if it was BennyQ, I would be thinking Sun Wukong mid, and you know it'd be interesting, but I wouldn't have really batted an eye at it.
This got to be fine.
Oh, for sure, because the Leviathans, for sure, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I only say that I would have been less surprised if it were Benny on the Hounds, but still surprising. Often talked about as the god of running away, Myth. However, has the ability to reinitiate off the somersault cloud, some lockdown within the stun, and maybe should feel okay if you're liking kind of the bluestone poke and ability damage laning phase style of god. Maybe Sun Wukong can still fit that slate.
Yeah, laning phase has never once been a weakness of Sun Wukong. His ability to clear waves, the additional damage that Jinku Bang gets on minions means that he's able to stick around for a good long while, sustain in in kit means the exact same thing, can stick around for a good long while. The primary strength of Sun Wukong in the late game team fight is also his ability to stick around, can build up some aura anti-heal and just stick to the hell or follow around the Horus, play spoiler, and be involved in the team fight for a very long time. One of the better warriors at chase down as well. Go into the 72 transformations, tiger form, find your stun, slow immediately afterward. The rest of your team is given a little bit of time to catch up on those chase out kills. But Sun Wukong does not deal as much damage as other warriors, and there are other warriors that are more survivable. I'd argue Sun Wukong finds himself in the category of jack of all trades, master of none, so far as the solo lane itself is concerned. And itemization, when it does favor Sun Wukong, is when Soul Eater is top of the meta. It's a dominant item. He can really leverage all the sustain from it. It's got good stats. Soul Eater is not awful right now. It's certainly not the strongest state it's been in either. So I'm excited to see what Sun Wukong can do, but we do not often see this god have success at the highest level of play.
How about holistically this Leviathan's composition? You finish off with Batz, of course, Fear No Evil, a wonderful initiation tool. Is it all on adapting, though, this game? Does Terra, does Sun Wukong, I suppose you have a bit with Ishtar, do they supply enough outside of that when you talk about beads pressure? Fear No Evil either wants to burn beads or follow up on burnt beads. Is there enough outside of the Batz in your mind for the Leviathans?
There's a lot of single target beads running potential, and because there is a lot of it, I think you're okay. Ishtar can do it on her own. Terra at times can do the exact same thing. Sun Wukong in ideal situations capable of burning through those relics. So long as the laners of the Atlantis Leviathans are playing through pressure, are able to establish a decent early game, I think there will be opportunities for adapting to rotate through and make use of those burnt relics. The concern is late game team fight. How often are you going to be able to stagger the team fight long enough that maybe the Sun Wukong or the Terra or the Ishtar are going to burn the beads so that the Hun bots can make use of it? Yep. If the Hun bots is going in and burning the beads himself, they don't have the Atlantis Leviathans, that is, another form of massive AoE CC that I think is going to be threatening. I think for the most part in the late game, the Eldritch Hounds are going to play very well around this hell, the cleanse, to deal with a lot of the single target CC and hold on to the more committal options, their ultimates or their own beads for the actual threat, which is this Hun bots. So the Leviathans with a lead, I think this composition could absolutely dominate the game.
Yep.
From an even state, might struggle a little bit in these longer fights.
Well, the Leviathans had a lead in Game 1. Will they get another in Game 2? Will the Hounds 2-0 the Atlantis Leviathans? My goodness, let's find out with your casters.
What a sentence that I'm not sure, Charlie, I was prepared to hear today. The Hounds potentially able to find a 2-0 here could have some big implications for what they're going to be facing throughout the year. Of course, this is a team, you have to remember, made it to the semis during the kickoff, right? Looked pretty good for the Hounds on day 1, even in day 2 when they lost. And now they've got the Bakasura. They've got Coast back on the Rom. They've got Ducky back on the Horus. They haven't done too much that's super interesting. The other side, though, there's the Sun Wukong. And I want your thoughts on that one pretty much immediately.
Well, I called out fineokay for the King Arthur. I didn't call him out. I analyzed it as I am paid to do. But
yeah,
I did say that, Bluestone Warriors aren't quite in the meta at the moment, but I think that what fineokay realized here is that Ducky is on Horus. So he's not facing this lane bully who's going to be looking to get aggressive. Last game, Ducky played the most of it, I would argue, underneath tower, right? He was not getting aggressive in the slightest. So because of that, it's possible that he just wants to be relatively hybrid, get as much damage online as possible. You don't have to worry too much about the Horus just bullying you out of lane. And then he wants to dive carries. And, you can dive carries a lot better if you have some damage online. That's the idea. Not necessarily going to work if you just let the Elder Towns get too far online. You want to get some extra farm and then be able to make those rotations in. When you're a level up, you have that extra protection online, you get some good damage. But if the Elder Towns just play passive and are able to get those power spikes before the rotations come through, you sort of miss your mark. So fineokay is going to be playing a balancing act of how ahead can I get before I rotate in, whereas I can still make my impact, right? Where I can still be useful in killing these carries. And I think it's certainly a possibility.
Oathhh, contrary to last time, one unfortunate death in the duo lane slowed him down. This time seems to be playing very aggressive, right? The Bakasura running the show. 2 solo lane menaces between the Horus and the Wukong, kind of boxing each other. I'm going to be honest, if I was going to choose early lane pressure, I think I would have given it over to the Merlin, but it's been the jungle causing the most trouble. Luckily for Sheento, plays just safe enough. A combo, as mentioned in the desk before game number 1, that usually is feared. Sheento on the Merlin, but last game falls behind. Benny, if I remember correctly, had a level lead for a majority of the game. And based on how he's playing right now, I don't think he wants that to change.
Nope. Wants to keep forcing out Sheento. Just has conduit gems, so has better clear regardless. And this is sort of what we were talking about. And you know, if you're going to be going for an item like this, you should play with that early aggression, which BennyQ is doing. He's looking for his poke. He's trying to make the most out of this item. Sheento has the Sands of Time, so he's got some CDR, some extra damage, but he's not able to clear the wave as effectively. And because of that, he's going to miss a little bit of farm when BennyQ is able to land abilities like that. And Ducky was actually able to grab the totem dip, which means some good mana, but some fighting happening over in solo lane. I don't think too much comes from this. They've got lots of CC, yes, but the auto attack damage takes a lot to try and confirm. Will this translate into a blue buff invade, though, is the question. Oathhh can just eat the buff, but it seems like Adapting wants to try and pull it away.
Oathhh jumps in. Opts instead to go for a little bit of poke onto Adapting. Does eat the buff, as you had highlighted. Now can he get away? Well,
he didn't
very
get
easy.
it. fineokay got somehow Adapting stole that buff. I think the Sacred Monkey Toss.
Through?
Yeah, so
the munch.
You can still eat the buff and lose it if it gets confirmed before you eat it. You can get the heal and they can kill it, and I think that's what Adapting did. I think he threw the Monkey Toss and finished it as it was eaten. fineokay's happy about that. He still gets a blue buff. I was going to say, because of his start, he went Tainted Steel, missing some of that MP5 from Bluestone, missing some of that wave clear. But hey, he got his blue buff thanks to Adapting. Good plays and just better thresholds there. Adapting makes a big play for his soul lane.
Through the munch.
Through the munch, yeah.
Through the munch. Sometimes you learn things. Damn it, I used to really love playing Bakasura. People could have been stealing things from me the whole time.
I'm going to be honest. If it's not like an Adapting level player.
It's such a narrow window.
Yeah, you have to know exactly when to toss a Sacred Monkey Toss. It'll happen accidentally sometimes for sure, but I can tell Adapting was looking at that number, and he's like, okay, I do about 120.
Watching it carefully.
I can use an auto attack as well, 145. The threshold between this munch, you know, there's plenty of things you have to go into consideration when making a play like that, but I think Adapting had it calculated.
I got to give him credit. Impressive as hell. Again, very, very, very small window to make sure that works out. And like you said, I mean, that changes the pace of the solo lane at least a little bit, right? It gives fineokay more staying power than he would have had otherwise. And maybe keeps the Batz in a position where he's not falling too far behind, keeps that buff available for him. Speaking of which, blinks forward. Fear No Evil onto Ducky immediately. Has fineokay. No, the Tiger Stun misses! And Ducky gets to walk out of there no problem, and Oathhh is making things happen on the left. They take down Zapman, first blood for the Hounds jungler, and you gotta think that is not cataclysmic, but so unfortunate for the Leviathans.
Yeah, I think there was a max range Tiger Stun, just a little bit off the mark there. The Fear No Evil pushes Ducky out, and you don't have to. And even if it does connect, Ducky was looking relatively healthy there. Might have been able to use that dash towards the minion wave and heal up. I don't know. Regardless, unfortunate that Oathhh finds aggression on the left side of the map while there's a dropped gank over on right. Adapting. Didn't even have any itemization online. Wasn't quite able to finish that Transcendence. So yeah, I don't think Ducky dies even if that Tiger Stun connects, but it would have helped. And now the Eldritch Hounds get off to that early lead. This time, Oathhh on the Bakasura gets the first blood, reminiscent of last game when he got first blooded. And you know, you're able to run away with the game. We saw Adapting do it in game number 1. If you're just able to run to farm with this Golden Blade, just try and be everywhere first. You know, you're beating Adapting over to solo lane, you're beating him over to left lane. It can get very annoying. You know, this Batz does still have the ability to get active in team fights towards objectives. Blink Fear No Evil is still an incredibly potent tool. But this Bakasura is going to be a threat from here on out.
playing against a slow farming god that goes Transcendence early. I mean, it's a mirror of what we had just seen. And Oathhh, more than happy to at least start out that way. Probably wants to change up a little bit of the late game notes from what we got to see. Adapting, able to go in, like you had said, get beats, Aegis, then kind of awkwardly retreat because there wasn't much else he could do after that once the blink and the ult were down. Honestly, seems like a mirrored conversation for something you could say about own Batz, though, so maybe the jungler's going to be playing second fiddle to the carries later after their setup. Shield buff. Fought over. Secured by the Levi's. Rongyu's going to scoop that one up. Otherwise, Trelly, relatively slower paced, I want to say, itemization, right? You've got the Tiamat going for the Chronos Pendant, looking for some damage as well. A lot of stacks that are being looked at, though, by the Leviathans, right? The Soul Eater, the Transcendence, the Thebes into Devourer's Gauntlets. 2 gauntlets for the duo lane. Meanwhile, Quig's having the time of his life, getting as many prophetic cloak stacks as he can. Feels like these teams are more than content to just wait a little bit, essentially see what Oathhh wants to do, and if Oathhh doesn't want to do anything, just wait.
Well, that's even the call. I mean, adapting more than anyone wants to just keep farming. It's just, you want this Transcendence online, you're not going to be able to match the pace of a Bakasura, so just follow him if you really think you have an opportunity to counter gank, but look for your own buffs, look for your own back camps, and just sort of hover around where danger could be looming. That's going to be Adapting's play. So you're right to highlight Oathhh. He's the driver at the moment. He's got the ability to just push down the gas and say, hey, I'm looking for a soul lane gank, or I'm looking to go towards a mid lane gank, try and find any sort of relic I could pull. And it looks like blue buff is the call for now. fineokay is going to have to defend it. The goo misses. No cripple will come through. So fineokay gets to live at the very least, but looks like he also gets to hold his buff up as Adapting's coming over, and he's going for a blue buff invade of his own.
A little bit of healing between Ducky and Oathhh. As mentioned, though, Oathhh, no ult, has the blink, getting aggressive. It's going to be secured and stolen away. fineokay, though, taking a lot of damage in the process. Gotta run it away. There's a reason we call him that. Up onto the somersault cloud, and he's looking to get out of here, but now Ducky going in with an ult. No, opts for the lane. Leaves that one be. Sheento adapting, standing 2 nearby, and fineokay gets to walk out of this one with a hefty blue buff stolen away.
Yep, a little bit dangerous, but I think the Fear No Evil confirmed, and the somersault cloud was enough to make sure fineokay got out. To the skies from Ducky, and Oathh's like, hey man, I would love to chase down with you, believe me. I don't want to kill that Wukong more than anyone else, but there's not enough damage. You really do need that ultimate. The slow, the minions you can eat to buff your own movement speed. Those are the kind of things that Bakasura needs to go in, and if you don't have them, Oathhh wasn't feeling like there was anything to chase down there. So just going to use some ultimates there, and blue buffs go the way of the Leviathans for now. Duo lane on the side of the Hounds has been getting aggressive, as you highlighted earlier once again. The Quig on this hell has just been spamming abilities, trying to get that prophetic stacks online, and it looks like a Gold Fury pull. Leviathans might be a little bit late to the party, but Adapting has blink, no ultimate.
Leviathans tried this last time around. They're going to get aggressive here. Hounds get the Fury. They're taking a lot of damage in the process. BennyQ, half health. The good healing by Quig so far, keeping him going. The CC, the slows, it's there. And the Leviathans are going to get themselves on the board, but the snipes ringing true. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, miss. Adapting only takes a little bit of poke, and a small leap gets him out of there. So a 1 for Fury, typically a trade you're still worthwhile taking, but Benny falls down. The pressure is up for the Leviathans.
Yeah, rare miss there from VaporishCoast. 1 more snipe hits, and the kill is confirmed. Quig does get stunned out, but does Sheento have enough damage to finish it? The body blocks might be enough.
Oh, I mean, a masterclass from fineokay on how to just ruin someone's day there. Good body blocks, lock him in. Can't do the same thing there. As Oathhh has a leap, can get over the body, and is going to be able to retreat back to the tier 1 in mid, half health. Has to go back and farm. Leviathans, they might have lost that Fury Trelly, and they are still about 1,000 gold behind, but they get a lot in their favor with those 2 kills.
They certainly do. And it helps trying to ease that gap. Adapting's able to pick up a kill. He's level 11 now. Again, didn't have the blink, fear no evil for the attempted steal, but did have enough damage to help confirm that slow on a BennyQ, which really put the nail in the coffin of the Tiamat. But look at this. Oathhh. Did he jump into that purple buff? If so, could be in some trouble here, and it looks like he did. Why are you jumping into the enemy purple buff? That was his only escape tool. Goes down for absolute free. Definitely overstepped a little bit there. Oathhh, a rare misplay early on in this game. I mean, 11 minutes in, not too early, but I'm surprised he even felt safe using his leap there to invade a purple buff.
That's suddenly 3 minutes, 3 kills for the Leviathans. A lot that changes, I think, the scope of this game. It was starting to feel like the Hounds just had the lead. I mean, it was a 1-0 kill lead. Nothing crazy there, but I just couldn't see the Leviathans stepping up. They couldn't do anything. They've changed that. They've changed the tune. Still suffering a little bit in terms of gold. The kill's starting to roll into their favor. Makes me look towards these objectives. Pyromancer, presumably one of the next ones up on the chopping block. Although Fury, a minute 20 out. Plenty of options for the Hounds of the Leviathans to try and get aggressive on. But Trelly, I feel like they're going to have to feel a little more confident about their engage for whichever team finally steps up.
Yeah, it's just not as easy here for the Hounds because as a Bakasura, you want to be the last one in, right? You want relics and escapes to be pulled. VaporishCoast is getting dove here. Just the beads are what they're after.
Teleport.
The teleport was still available? I cannot believe. I thought that timed out. Coast could have went to the sky, but I'm guessing he thought it timed out as well, adapting. That was like pixel perfect.
No.
I don't think Oathhh can stop it. He made it.
Gets the blink, goes in. Come on, all you need is one auto. There it is. So they make it 1 for 1. Adapting's was flashier though, so credit for the skill points, the style points. BennyQ now in a little bit of trouble. Use the Aegis, turns around, tries to get some damage back out there, but fineokay with the rotation. Ducky as well, the healing, it's doing so much for him. They actually get to walk out of here, but finally someone gets the last tick of damage, takes down the mid laner. Well played by Ducky and Quig to keep him alive as long as they did, but now struggling a little bit under their tier 1, the 2 front line. Slow Sheento down. Get a little bit of poke on him, Ducky. Steps up. Pyromancer started by the Hounds. Started by the Leviathans. Hounds are trying to get something done. Oathhh looking for pressure on left. And that might be all it takes to fall away from the Pyro for both teams, actually. Oathhh gets the invade. Runs away. Coast does not step away. Goes up to the sky. Looks for Zap. Gets the dash. One more shot. Unfortunately, falls a little wide there. Zap, good jukes, dances around. Causes some disruption. Adapting. Teleports in again. And this one might have caused too much trouble. The tier 1. Still a bastion of safety. And Adapting plus Zapman get to walk out of that one with their lives.
Yeah, Adapting was trying to go in there. Has Blink, Fear No Evil, the only one who can defend this Oni Fury, but he's weak. He's going to go in for the Miracle Steal or get caught out by Ducky.
Yeah, gets spotted. Jumps away. Might not even get out of here. Has to play carefully. Dash from Ducky, not going to connect. Knock up, good. Body blocks, they're there, but they're not as solid as fineokay's earlier. Adapting gets to walk back into that. Leviathan start up the Pyro. We can see a lot of left pressure right now from the Hounds, and so no response. We go objective for objective.
And that all starts from Oathhh trying to find Zapman in a 1v1. You know, you recognize your team's fighting over on right. Couldn't quite find it. Now Zapman is getting dove again. Beat and Aegis. No snipes available, and it looks like Ducky can't chase it down. So Zap will live once again with a low health bar. He can stick around and clear the wave as well. His Adapting was rotating over. But a lot of pressure put over towards this Ishtar. Coast has been, I hate to say it, but not on point with the snipes. Hasn't been able to land him. Some crucial kills missed out because these Rama snipes have missed.
Which is so weird because last game, he was hitting all of them.
Yeah, he hit everything last game. Yeah.
It was so on point. I mean, it was almost guaranteed damage every single fight. Now, he's just wanting a little more. Maybe gives the Leviathans, right, playing it back-to-back. They had the warm-up time, right? That was game 1. Now they know what to expect. They're giving them a little more trouble for every single shot.
5 Leviathans are here.
No Fury. So if they're looking for anything, it is blood right now. Coast.
Good luck, Coast.
Has to get out of here. Uses the beads for the Fear No Evil. There's going to be the Sacred Monkey Toss. Does he teleport this time? Coast is too much health. Too much help. And so the Leviathan's not going to take the opportunity here. Instead, drop an ult for the beads, and then back away.
Yeah, I assume since fineokay walked over, they were going to dive that a little bit harder, but looks like just want to try and force a play over on left. You get the beads, and now fineokay is sitting around here. There isn't any ward coverage yet, but Quig knows something fishy's going on. The Gold Fury's not up. Remember, there's nothing to fight over at the moment except just wanting to fight. Unless you're heading all the way over to the right side of the map looking at FGs. Zapman takes some damage here. The snipes are available, but here comes adapting.
You gotta hit these shots. One is all it'll take. There we go, finally. Coast gets one on the board, but lands to a waiting fineokay, waiting, adapting. Uses the Aegis, has the roll to disengage. fineokay is gonna go up to the air, trying to get some of the lifesteal procs. Not enough to keep Coast alive in this one. Adapting. Gets the kill. Quig, Benny, Oathhh, fineokay, slow him down, and man, like it's nothing, just take him out. Now Ducky, diving the tier 1 tower. Doesn't seem like the team is on the same page. Gonna wait for the minions. Step forward. Sheento, adapting, have to play carefully here. Quig has the healing to keep his team topped off. Benny has the damage to get something going, and Oathhh is looking for the loop around on a ward. I know he's here. No ult for the Bakasura, no blink for the Bakasura. Still just waiting for the opportunity. Everyone knows he's still hanging around. Sheento throws a bit of straight damage his way. All for the tier 1, and it's the pressure from the Hounds that wins it out. They get the gold, they get the map, and they get to walk away.
You get to walk away. Coast is back on the map, which means Gold Fury could be looked at once it spawns in. But I think the Hounds aren't feeling too good about having no ward coverage on Fire Giant. If they were to go for a Gold Fury on spawn, they would like to at least know what's happening over on the right side of the map. Tier 1 tower looked at, not going to drop. And the Hounds are going to full-on retreat here after a series of wins in their favor. Just fights going their way, as well as just a little bit of committing from the sides of the Leviathans. Kills are still in their favor, but the gold lead has never left the hands of the Hounds ever since the start of this game. They've just been farming better, they've been taking objectives better, and they've been in the right spot at the right time. Only one more tier 1 tower standing for the Hounds, and it's seen better days. It's looking relatively weak. BennyQ might be able to just drop some lizards and walk up and grab it. But because of the rotations of the solo lanes, they've been falling, I'm not going to say too far behind. They're still 16 and 17 respectively, but not looking as tanky in these team fights. fineokay is going for more damage. I mean, he wants what I assume is going to be a Brawlers in that slot or a Crusher. Just more damage online for the Sun Wukong. He's got Blink, he's got Beads. He wants to get active. He wants to get his hands dirty, but he hasn't been given the opportunity to. A lot of assists so far for the Sun Wukong. 0-1-3.
Pyromancer was looked at by the Hounds, leashed immediately. You had mentioned a gold lead. It's been in their favor, but all it takes is a slipped up objective, and suddenly things start to change their tone. Pyromancer started by the Leviathans. That one's going to be a quick secure. Quick burn. Coast still hanging out on left. Looks like gets the comms to go back, start split pushing. Pressure on the tier 2, loses the minions, but gets about half the HP bar. Little skirmish in mid, doesn't seem like too much is going to be happening here. It's all about the rotations onto Coast right now. Maybe the aggression. Zap comes over, minions should clean that one up. 1,500 gold in the pockets of the Hounds. Ducky and the ultimate. Where are they going? Looks like it should be a Fury play. No, just dances over into mid.
I also thought it was a Fury play. But Ducky just... Huh. I think he couldn't decide of, are we going in? Are we going for the objective?
Do we want to fight or do we want to set up the map?
Yeah, Coast had back, so I think that was the call, right? You don't have your Rama. He got the tier 2 on left, so... Or what are we ulting in to do the Fury slowly? Doesn't seem like a good call. Now the Leviathans have an opportunity, but Ducky and Quig on the wraparound. They're not looking for an objective play. They want to look for a fight if possible, but Ducky might be in trouble.
Benny's right behind him. Fear No Evil used to separate the players on the Hounds. They get some damage. 3-man stun from Zapman. Sets things up, but they don't have the follow-up. Instead, it's Oathhh jumping forward. Oathhh with a massive ult. Gets some damage spread out there. Snipes from Coast. Get damage onto Zap. They force the Leviathans to fall back with low health bars. And the Relics mirrored once again. 3 up on each side. Fortunately for the Leviathans, they get sent back to base, and the Hounds get themselves the Fury.
And now the Hounds have to decide. No one's at fire. Ducky's able to face check that. They're going back to base and just spending up that gold, then looking towards Fire Giant themselves. Probably the call. Not necessarily an easy pull, but baiting in the team fight. That's what the Leviathans are after. Or in this case, the Hounds want the Leviathans to step up and get baited by that team fight presence. Oathhh, first one to hit level 20, 3-1 on this Baka. Has been an impact player so far this entire set. And hasn't had too many answers for the Baka in this game. It's been a lot of, oh, he ulted, okay, let's run, let's reset. But you can only do that so many times. Eventually, you're giving up objectives, meaningful objectives, game-winning objectives if you're just running away every time Oathhh ults. Adapting is able to mirror the KD, both 3-1-0, but hasn't quite able to hit that level 20, that level of farm that Bakasura has. It's just not available to this Hun Batz yet, which means starter items, a fourth item, those sort of things are not upgraded yet for the Hun Batz.
Ronngyu caught out in the jungle. Right side does not look like he's getting out of this one. Damage. Oh, from the Hounds, too much to handle. Leviathans down a player. Minotaur sent out by BennyQ. Chase is adapting. Gets themselves a little bit of a zone. Fire Giant. Going to be the call in the near future. It's just can they get it? BennyQ forced to use relics. Has to jump away. Has a lot of pressure on him. Coast just goes for the backline. They're going to find a lot of pressure because of it, and BennyQ does not suffer anything for their troubles. Instead, is going back to full health as Oathhh chased down Sheento. 3 gone on the Leviathans, and the Fire Giant about to be in pocket.
Yes, it is. No one stepping up from Leviathans to go for a steal. Oathhh is just chasing down fineokay, making sure he can't get any free farm in the meantime. What a dynamic late-game switch up here for the Hounds. And again, they had commanding presence gold-wise. Wait a second. I was going to say, Ronngyu is walking forward. He's going to die because he walked up a little too far, but at least goes for the steal. I think a valiant effort there. Something that, I mean, something's got to change, right, for the Leviathans if they want to try and win this set. Not only this game, just rolling over and letting the Hounds get whatever they want. Not going to be the call. So I think Ronngyu goes for an impact play. It doesn't end up working out. Now you're down 5-4 because Sheento's up in 1 second. He's not going to make it to this Phoenix immediately, and the Hounds are just going to walk in and take it.
They have no issues putting the damage on for this one. They even have some minions. So backdoor protection's not a problem. They take the right side. Phoenix Oathhh does die. Dies a little too deep. So that's a little clap back. 5-2 now for the Bakasura. Trelly, Fire Giant, 6,000 gold. Ronngyu just now coming up. It does pause the Hounds' aggression. But if you look at the kills, you see 8-7. It feels closer than the numbers indicate.
And they indicate a 7,000 gold lead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it is looking good for the Hounds so far, but adapting's getting online. Sheento got a meaningful shutdown there onto Oathhh. And Enhanced Fire Giant is not quite in play, which are all good things for the Leviathans currently. They're going to siege forward and try their hand at a tier 2. Ducky's got the wrapper on there to try and go for some CC. This could be big here. Adapting. Has Blink, Fear No Evil. Where's he going to find it? Beautiful ult.
Yeah, finds 2. Forces beads. Gets a lot on the table, but he's low. One side misses 2. Connects to the third. Finally hits. Adapting goes down. What a great shot by Coast. Keeps the team alive and moving forward now. Ronngyu, poor Ronngyu. Nothing to say about it. Zap with the fadeaway on the stun, but Ducky leads them forward. Ult finds 3, and it's a surge from the Hounds. It's the damage from the Hounds. One more auto kills off Zap. Fine. Left behind because they are walking into the Titan room. The Hounds are gonna take this set 2-0. And they do it pretty convincing in game number 2, Trelly.
They certainly do. Off of some great snipes from Coast. We highlighted them early on. Rare misses. Does not miss them when he needs to. Is able to confirm that kill onto Adapting. And I think the Leviathan just overstepped a bit. I mean, it's so often, if you've been paying attention to the meta in these later game stages, if it's not Enhanced Fire Giant, teams are just sitting in base. Yeah. They're saying, oh, well, you're not sieging my Phoenix. We don't care. The Leviathans step out a little bit too far. Didn't feel like they had to chase that kill down. Didn't feel like they had to go for the tier 2, but they had the shutdown. In this case, the Hounds. They had plenty of damage. They had the peel. I got to shout out Quig. I think the cleanses as well as the sustain. Ducky as well. So that healing kept the Hounds alive so many times when it looked like the fight might make a little bit of a turn.
A lot of plays there. Not only do the Hounds keep up the pressure, I mean, I was a little worried, right? Game 1, we see the Bakasura gets to an early start, and I'm like, oh, man, it's going to slip through their hands. When's the play going to happen? When's the turnaround? Never shows up. I mean, even that Fear No Evil looks really good at the end.
No
Snipes
follow-up.
from Coast. Sometimes that's all you need. No follow-up, and then a really good play from your carry. Resurgence from the Hounds, and, man, a beautiful victory here for a 2-0. But that's enough from me and Trelly. Let the desk break down how that set went.
It went well for the Eldritch Hounds, Myth. I think
roll break.
no one would have been surprised if this one had gone 3 and the Hounds found a win. I don't even think people would have been surprised if the Hounds won in a 3-game set. And those sound like the same thing. I'm saying people wouldn't have been surprised if it was a 2-1 Leviathans win. I think people could have foreseen a 2-1 Hounds win.
Nobody saw the 2-0.
Right. I don't think 2-0 Hounds win was in the cards. Apparently it was, and Game 2 was dominant from the Eldritch Hounds despite falling behind in kills.
Yeah, the Leviathans early game were able to establish the lead in kills, but weren't quite able to find it in gold. And generally when we say that exact sentiment, it would be about the Eldritch Hounds on the other side, right? These guys are really good at finding the kills early, but could not quite transition it. Just not the case this time around. These team fights were more concise from the Hounds. The issues that we had brought up initially in the P's and B's with who's going to be burning beads consistently from the Leviathans if they aren't able to transition themselves into a mid to late game lead. The answer was it was adapting, and if it's adapting doing it, that means adapting isn't getting value from Fear No Evil. So very much a struggle there for the Leviathans in some of those late game team fights. I thought that Sun Wukong a bit absent. A lot of that single target CC dealt with masterfully by Quig on the other side. The Hell Cleanse, just too clean. The sustain, just too good. The initiations from Ducky, amazing as well. I thought he was doing a very good job of that front-to-back play style. Do I need to be diving? Do I need to be peeling? Felt like he had the answer every single time on exactly what his team needed in every situation. The casters do a great job highlighting Oathhh and Quig. But I got to talk about Benny as well. I mean, this was a very good performance from him. I know 2-2 and 5, maybe not the most impressive slash line, but the damage output and positioning of Benny, I think, very impressive. So often he was a part of the front line with his team. So often he was the recipient of the dive from both adapting and fineokay. I'm thinking the last Fire Giant fight we saw, it's adapting and fineokay trying their hardest to deal with this Tiamat, and he's just dancing them around the jungle while simultaneously outpouring damage. The Eldritch Hounds clearly woke up on the right side of the bed today.
This is now a difficult Leviathans team, I think, to nail down, Myth, because it's a team where you're bringing in adapting instead of Panatom, so that's clearly an identity shift. You lose Haddix, and then you gain fineokay, and so it's a team I think that's just struggling to find their identity and continue to do so against the Eldritch Hounds, who 2-0 the Atlantis Leviathans. One of the more fun jungle matchups you'll see. Oathhh, a newcomer, against adapting the king, and it's Oathhh who gets the better of adapting this time around, and Oathhh standing by for the postgame.
That's right. We've got Oathhh standing right here, and I got to start with a question that's kind of on my mind, which is just a 2-0 victory for you guys over the Leviathans. Was your team expecting this kind of result coming into today?
We were definitely confident, I think. We pretty much played all the top end teams last week, and we felt like, if we play well, play even at our best or whatever, we knew that coming into today and tomorrow, we have a good chance of winning.
Well, obviously so, right? A 2-0 really speaks to that. I got to ask you about game 1, though, right? Rough game at the beginning for you. You have that death in duo lane. You start to fall behind. How do you stay in that when you're so far behind? How do you keep up with a lead or that the Leviathans had amassed?
It kind of just takes one good look at a team fight, and you're pretty much back in the game. I think I was catching up a little bit. I was probably down 2 levels by the time that firefight happened, but then I got 2 kills. I'm just trying to even or pretty much ahead. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So, yeah, you just kind of have to farm and just wait until an opportunity arises, I guess.
Yeah, keep your head down. That's actually, we were talking about it on the cast, and we were like, wait, he's doing exactly what he needs to. It was really fun to watch. You go into game 2, though. It starts out to be dominance, but you're still getting some fight back from the Leviathans. When was it that you guys realized you had the game in the bag?
I think it was just at the firefight again. I think we just killed the Terra when she walked in, and then we just kind of...
and then again.
Yeah. At that point, I'm like, yeah, this is probably over. if we don't throw.
Well, hey, you guys get a 2-0. It's looking good for the Hounds. If you got stocks in the Hounds, you're probably feeling really, really good about today. So congratulations, man, on the 2-0. Thanks for your time. We'll throw it back to the desk.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit sad for Ronngyu. If you look at the last 3 minutes of that game,
he was in the grayscale.
It was death, respawn, walk towards fire, death, try to defend the base. One more for Ronnie. Hounds have figured something out here, and I think it's interesting you get a glimpse into the mindset of Oathhh there, where it's a team that played a lot of the top teams last week, and they get things going finally against the Gladiators, find their first win of the phase, but realizing that if you can hang with the top teams, you're eventually going to start to string some wins together. Happens here up against the Leviathans, and so maybe it's a good time to start buying some Hound stock. This is a team, traditionally when we talk about qualifier teams, it takes some time to build up. And there absolutely is still room for that for the Hounds, but it's a team that has now found a win against the Gladiators, found a win against the Leviathans on a 2-win streak, and the Hounds will play the Styx Ferrymen later on this weekend, so look forward to that one. And look forward to our second set of the day as well. It's the Oni Warriors versus the Highland Ravens. My goodness, a barn burner for our second and final SPL set of the day coming up next.